Hello, everybody. Grant Hunter here with another Product Growth Leaders topic of the week. Now, Steve, there's a recurring theme that we have. I mean, well, you and I have for as long as we've been talking, but we've talked about in a lot of these calls about how marketing that we were taught in college or by Peter Drucker is different than what marketing tends to be in the organization. Actually, Peter would tend to call what most companies call marketing, what they would call it probably, he would call it selling. It's part of the selling process, not the marketing process. And, to state this up front, we view product marketing as a product management role, part of the triad, right? And so yes, a lot of the collaboration between, topic this week's product management collaborating with marketing. And so a lot of the conversation here is going to be probably in that product marketing realm if people have product marketing, although some of these things probably come full upstream to the strategy side. So I just wanted to sort of get those things out. Is that fair?
Yeah, totally makes sense.
All right.
And I majored in marketing in university and minored in computer science and got out of school and was looking for jobs and found that there was no job that involved both computers and marketing. So my first job, I was a programmer, did that for a couple of years. And when I finally made it into the marketing department, I looked around going, this doesn't look anything like my courseware in college. Right. What I learned in college was, well, what we now call product management. And then I find out, in the marketing department that everybody except me thinks marketing is simply where t-shirts come from. So very different perspective from university and, a strategic mindset about what is indeed marketing.
That being said, there is a need. There is we need to have marketing, not to make t-shirts. I mean, that's a nice thing. We probably have closets of them, but to help us with communication and lead generation and material, those types of things. So it's an important collaborative relationship, and that's why this week's topic is product management collaborating with marketing. We've got a great panel with us today. We've got Jason Vincelette, May Wong, Cory Bryan, Calvin Marshall, Paul Hurwitz, Faith Peterson. We didn't scare her away. She came back. And Shabnam on her first call. So we're so excited to have you, Shabnam. And let's go right to Monday's question, which was, what is the best way for product management to build strong collaboration with marketing? And Jason, my friend, I felt like I was going back in time. I felt like the glory days of when we first started doing this, when I knew that the first person to answer the question was going to be you.
Well, that was easy because two people answered the question back then, me and Steve.
If we were lucky, Steve did.
So yeah, I wrote something down very, lots of caps, all caps.
Were you meaning to yell?
I was meaning to yell and make poignant statements between, pauses between each one. But really, for me, it was, in my organization, marketing is really, product marketing is part of the marketing group, not product management. And I know we talk about that as kind of together here, but because they work more as far as doing product marketing campaigns that are similar to the campaign structure we have around marketing, which is comms, that I look at communicating to marketing kind of in the same way from a product management methodology to both those groups. And so, when I was thinking about this question and how to best collaborate with marketing, making sure marketing has the right messaging that you want to give out to your personas, your buyer personas and your user personas, depending on where they're doing their marketing. And in order to do that, you have to share with them and write down and share with them your initial kind of positioning documentation so that they understand where you're coming from for what you're doing. And this could be at the product level, the module level, feature level, whatever it is. If you wait for them to come up with what they think the value is for the things that you're doing as an organization, you might be missing the mark. And unfortunately, the feedback loop gets broken with that process.
So the best way, start with positioning before you start, and then share it with them, work with them, and make it iterative. Learn from what they're seeing and what's working for them, because that could help us do it as well. That's the best way to collaborate, to build strong collaboration. Awesome. Calvin, you came in number two. Not number two. I'm not ranking you guys. Second. You were the second person to answer it. communication is key. Get marketing engaged early in the process, whether it's a brand new initiative or new features on existing product. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what often happens is, or what sometimes happens is that, marketing, and I thought of marketing in terms of a lot of the promotional aspects. I kind of separated that out from kind of product marketing, especially based on the experiences I've had of late. And just thinking that they need to have a sense, they just need information, they need communication, so that as they're forming content or collateral or even t-shirts, that they're involved early, and that they're not scrambling on the end, and that they understand what's being created and why, so that any type of messaging that they're creating is consistent with the intent of the product.
So just like we've talked about collaborating with development and design and pulling them upstream to help them see the value, we need to do that with marketing as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. May, you think the most important thing is for product marketing, and marketing leadership to make sure that their respective roles and responsibilities and expectations are understood and clear?
Yeah, because we have a marketing team, which is mostly Marcom or brand marketing. And then we've got product marketing, and then we've got growth marketing. And where do you draw the line? What do they do? Nobody knows. Who knows? Right. So it's really important to start setting those boundaries so people understand, what is marketing? What should we call you? When should we call you? And I think it's really important to do that, before you start talking about the work to be done, because then otherwise you get 5 pieces of marketing going out to your customers and none of them are aligned. So, and you as a product manager don't want that either.
No, you don't. And actually, your answer was so impactful for me. We're actually going to go deeper on that concept with one of the questions later. So you some of our previous ones I give bonus points at, and somebody can win. And May, her Monday answer put her in a lead. We're going with that. Steve.
But, hey, wait, hang on. You can't steal my bonus points answer. My reply to my own reply was bonus points if you throw growth marketing into the mix. What even is marketing at that point?
When did you put that one in there? It wasn't in my notes. I must have missed it. So you get bonus points for your bonus points.
Oh, yeah.
I think that works. Steve, we do a lot of work with companies where we're trying to build this, this product management, product marketing, actually, I was looking at the website and one of our testimonials is exactly that. Talk to me about your thoughts about that. We're going to go deeper before, but in general, when it talks about strong collaboration, the importance of that, not what those delays should be, but the importance of it.
Well, jumping off May's point just a moment ago, I and to some extent Jason's, roles,
but not Calvin's.
Well, yeah, correct. Roles and responsibilities are critical, and I find in so many cases to point specifically at product marketing, which actually does tie back to Calvin, is I'd say most of the people I meet in product marketing don't know product. So what's which of these two words is the more important one, right? So is it I do marketing for my product, or I do marketing for a product? And in organizational design, I don't allow people to use the word product unless you are associated and knowledgeable about the product. And I think I may have told this story before. My daughter broke up with a guy over this. She was dating a product marketing guy who used, let's see, I don't want to tell who the product is. They were using a tool, a video conferencing tool. And she said, I've got this problem that I want you to tell me more about. She's having some difficulty using the tool. And he's like, oh, I never use the tool. I use Zoom. And he didn't know anything about the product. He didn't use the product. And she's like, how do you promote a product you don't understand? And he's like, oh, I rely on the product manager for all that technical bits and bytes stuff. And she's like, we're done. You're dead to me now, and So she has since met and married a UX designer. So there's still happiness in the Johnson family. But again, what I find is there are a lot of people who are really Marcom people who have been assigned to a product, as opposed to what we talk about in our roles and responsibilities work. Product marketing is to Marcom as product management is to development. That marketing solves go-to-market problems. They identify, they build campaigns to solve a problem, and that product marketing uses the same skills as product management to find go-to-market problems. Our positioning isn't clear, our pricing is too high, our packaging is confusing, and then they work with marketing as a solutions agency to create campaigns that address those frictions.
And let's be specific. When we talk about the titles of product marketing and product planning, or technical product manager and product strategy as the triad of product management. So, it's technical product management or product planning or product owner who was the interface with development, like product marketing is with marketing and sales. And so
what you said.
Just to clarify that up, just because this is a role definition thing, and these different roles, and make sure we're doing it. I had one company where the product marketing people, the people called product marketing, were really the Marcom people, and the people called marketing were more product management type. And it was, a bizarro world. I was there.
And I've also seen it where product marketing is the strategist.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing that at one of our prospects, that the product management has gone so deep on the technical side that product marketing is having to take on some of that strategic responsibility because it's not being done.
Right. And somebody's got to do it. In order for me to do product marketing, I have to understand the market and the strategy and the product and the fit and the personas. So if nobody else is going to do it, I guess I'll have to do it. And so I'm seeing a lot of that, of product marketing moving in to fill the vacuum left by product managers going off to become development managers effectively.
And I'm thinking back to a friend of mine who was on some of our calls for Product Leaders in Transition, who came from a marketing role in a very engineering-centric world. And the more technology-centric the organization is, the more technology-centric product management tends to be, and product marketing does step into being both that enabler of marketing and sales, but also the strategic role. Cory, I wanted to get to you, both your chat answer. Yes, role titles don't matter. It's what you're doing. But I also liked your thought on focusing relentlessly on the job to be done, people who do that job. Are you saying that the job that product does and the job that marketing does, or our persona and their problem to solve, job to be done that we're solving?
The latter, the one that we're focusing on, the customer's problem and how we're trying to solve that, and where we're trying to solve that. I think that's where the marketing, when I play in that space, or when I think about that space, what I really like is the idea of focusing on what the job is that somebody's trying to get done, or customers are trying to get done, and then how are they doing that job today, and where are they looking for help today. And the marketing people, or the marketing group, should be in front of that. They should, if somebody's going to trade shows to look for a problem to the solution, be at the trade shows. If somebody's searching on Google for this, or looking at for experts, be the experts. Get yourself in front of the people who have the problem, that are looking for a solution for it. And
to Calvin's point, collaborate with them and bring them upstream so they're part of that.
Oh yeah, I mean that I don't know why a marketing person isn't on every team for everything that we're building. So
you're looking, you look at, say, Marty Kagan's product team, you would add marketing to the product manager, design and development.
For most products, I would say yes. If it's a developer focused product, maybe you don't need marketers on that. Yeah. If it's a B2C type product where you want everybody in the world to use it, then yeah.
Well, and now May, I'm thinking about you, when you're building an internal product, who's marketing for you guys to get it to your internal customers?
Yes.
Who is? You? Is anybody?
Are
you taking into consideration their adoption and that type of stuff?
So we're currently reshuffling, so it's kind of hard to say, but we do have people who are dedicated to communications with internal stakeholders, but then it's not really centralized at this point. So right now we're kind of going through that growing pain. So it'd be interesting to hear what other people say.
Well, I'm actually Shabman Shabnan. You said in the chat you agree with Cory. Now you have a sort of a take on how we do this. I'd love to get your take on this question.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. It is super interesting. So I think a couple of you mentioned that you should be pulling them along. Like, it does get a bit messy if you start thinking about that cross-functional team, right? Like, there's a product manager, there's a designer, there's a UX person, there's a researcher. So you do sometimes think, oh, do I need to add another person? But I think what we found is each of those do have such different lenses that instead of trying to translate your insights to get to second or third hand insights, it makes much more sense to get everyone immersed in that problem space and getting, direct exposure to the customer. So the collaboration model that we found works best has been exactly that, to add product marketing as part of that extended team. So there's no more us and them. Yeah. It's all of us together figuring things out and figuring out how to position things and market them.
So true collaboration. And Steve, I'm going to go back to some of the stuff we've talked about, Drucker, and how we talked about how strategic marketing, what we're saying is product management role is really how do we it's enabling the entire organization. And, I love this idea of expanding defining the whole product team based on what your needs are for the whole value cycle, life cycle, right? From the strategic all the way down to the customer success, maybe has to have a role. And I think that's one of the things that where product-led growth, some of those companies get right, is that they're bringing all the aspects in to do those types of things.
Yeah, I saw a post recently and somebody said, so, after general availability, when do you engage the marketing team?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on. When you engage the development team is the same time you engage the marketing team, right?
Yep.
And so I very much agree with the idea of bringing everybody along. And it may be, in this meeting, I need the marketing person, and in that meeting, I need the dev lead and the UX person. It's not like everybody has to go to every meeting, but I feel like launch planning and release planning should happen in parallel as soon as possible,
Yeah. Well, and, we talk about in principles the idea that when you're building that business case, when you're doing the business plan, all of those stakeholders downstream from you should be part of that and should be collaborating with that. If they're not doing discovery with you, they're at least as part of that, making the strategic business case and doing it. I think that from there on, it's about anybody can come to every meeting, but this one is specifically talking about design issues or marketing issues, right? If you want to be aware, be there. We'll do our notes. Otherwise, we can share it. Paul, if the chat hasn't gotten past me, it already has. You talked about how your product marketing team owned getting the message out to internal teams if it was an internal product. So even regardless if the end customer was internal or external, product marketing did both, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yep. But what I've found is that in the two larger companies that I've worked at, we had dedicated product marketing people. But in all of the small companies that I've worked at, there was just the marketing team, and there was no differentiation between marketing and product marketing. And they did basically everything, maybe not everything as well as they could have if there were two dedicated people doing the different roles. My last company, marketing, I think they actually did a pretty good job of getting our message out, like Marcoms, but certainly not feature-wise, in terms of product marketing, but also the one answer that I really wanted to get out here, what's the best way to build strong collaboration, is communications. There was a strong lack of communications, a stark lack of communications at my last organization between product and marketing. And everybody was always fighting about who owned what and what people should be working on. But when I
Like my example of, oh, we went GA 5 minutes ago. The product has been released. What are you going to do about it?
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Shabnam just had that, put that in the chat, right? Marketing lives in fear that we're going to surprise them with the release and throw it on the calendar, and they can't do it. And Steve, you tell a story about the marketing person wanted to know a year out what the release was going to be because of that fear.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was at Aetna, we had very strong brand communications and very strong product marketing. And the product marketers were great at working with the product teams to understand the value of every single little update that we were doing, whether it was a small little update or a big, huge new feature or a new product, understanding the value and communicating that value to the people that needed to have it communicated to, whether it was internal or external.
I think that, and I maybe May, there's some talking to Paul about how that worked as you guys try to figure that out.
And I actually have a great template that I've shared with a number of people, if anybody's looking, of what we did at Aetna for product marketing.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see you. Maybe you can post it in the community. Faith, you said part of collaboration is what marketing needs from us. It's that part of what they need is the collaboration. So simply collaborating with them itself is helping them, right? Is that what you're trying to say? Faith, you may be on mute.
I mean, it's a little bit of a, sorry about that. It's kind of a tautology to say that what they need is the collaboration, right? It's like saying a ball is good to be round because it's a ball. So like, a lot of the things people have been saying, kind of starting with Steve's, comment earlier about involving anyone and like, okay, it's GA, now we start marketing. And several of you have kind of been dancing on the same dance floor here about the timing of releases and timing of communication. And I've been kind of living this pretty intensely just recently. I've been in my company a couple of years. We are very small, the kind, Paul, that you were describing, where we have a marketing guy.
He does all types of marketing communications, product marketing, lead generation.
Yeah, he mostly does like external stuff, the website, things that are going out of the company. And then we have another guy who's kind of splits his time between creating training materials for new customers and creating the internal communications and sell sheets and, different kind of sales and marketing collateral that we use internally. So during my couple of years of the company, we've gradually been increasing the regular communication that I have, particularly with the second person, who's very good, very organized. We work pretty well together, and his main goal is the training and the internal communication, and then he works with the person who does the external marketing. But so we started meeting about a year ago. We started meeting once a week. And in that week, we go over, like what's coming up, because that's what he's concerned about. What's coming up? When is it going to be ready? And I try to keep him like really informed. Here's what we're working on. Here's the state of play currently. Here's, how many more sprints it's likely to be. What do we have meaningfully that we're going to release? The problem is, like, it's kind of like still sort of not enough, because what they really want to do is plan out their campaigns, right? They want sales to focus on certain things at certain times. They want the marketing campaigns and email drips and whatever else they're going to be doing. They want those things. They want to be able to put those on a calendar at certain times.
So we need to understand their requirements as well, right?
Yes, I think that's what I'm finding, and I'm finding there's some tension, right? Because an experiment that we've been doing is like they really want to say, you need to give us a delivery date. Yeah. And then you need to make that happen. And well, we know how much that goes over in development. Like that's just going to be like, I'm like, okay, I hear you that you want that. Here's what I can do for you. And what we kind of settled on is, continuing to ramp up our communication, where I have now added kind of a confidence level. Like here's
To
where we
keep-
think the projection is right now. How confident am I? How much risk is there in the state?
So you're putting some process around and some expectations around to help manage the collaboration. I think that's great.
Yes, but we're also we're also working through some ways that they can do marketing that aren't so dependent on the release date. And
Yeah.
so I've been trying to coach them through, and I don't know if any of your other companies are doing anything similar or had any success. I'm doing something similar. But what I've been trying to work with them on is, you know what, you don't have to have all your plans on hold until this feature's in production.
Yeah.
I mean, you can start to generate interest ahead of time. You can announce that a feature is coming. You can generate lists of leads for people that you can call when it's live. Or you can, have like early access customers, and
Yep.
then maybe like plan how you're going to roll that out across existing customers. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be so, hey, GA is on March 10th and that's when marketing happens. I've been kind of encouraging them to think more about how they can make their communications more contingent, like maybe say, hey, this new feature that we're advertising is going to be available in early Q2, instead of saying it's going to be available April 5th.
Yeah,
And
actually, I'd like to get to Cory. Cory, I love what you put in almost looking at continuous marketing instead of waterfall marketing.
Yeah, it's
Good point.
You don't want to market
Yeah.
twice a year when you have 2 releases a year. I mean, both of those are bad. So I'd rather continually release and continually deploy new value to the customers and market and continually talk about that. And that's what I think that should be, is just continually talk about your products, talk about, like Faith was saying, what's coming up, what's just been out, what, a new thing a story that somebody wanted to talk about with your product that's been out there. Talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of marketing people though say, well, but I have to plan my budget. And I'm like, well, yeah, how about this? We will have features. We don't know what they are yet, but we're gonna have them. So if I told you what they were right now, if I say we're gonna have feature 1, 2, and 3, what would you do? They'd say, well, we plan a press release and a video and a sales sheet. And I'm like, okay, now you know how to budget. Just assume we will have features, and when the time comes, you can then get all the details you need, but you don't need to know that a year in advance, because I don't know it a year in advance.
No, I completely agree. And it's about time for us to move the poll. But Jason, you haven't had a chance to speak since right at the beginning, and we've been almost like having a debate on things. And I want to give you a chance to any last comments before we move on.
Move on. Let's go. We're gonna argue the next thing.
Well, you did say market old stuff. Not everyone has been paying attention. So as
as product managers, we're always looking at the future, and I like the waterfall of continuously drip marketing. But what I've been telling my marketing team is like, listen, we have new kind of generations, new people, and new roles, and within our market, and they don't know what we used to deliver last year or 2 years ago. You can pull some of that material up and say, hey, this is some great things that this product does. It doesn't have to be the future. It still can be competitive, and you just have to kind of maybe retool it a little bit, but you still need to get the message out.
Bring out the greatest hits. Hey, we had this thing that really worked well when we first launched this thing. Why don't we go back and see if there's people who weren't listening at that time who could? I love that idea. And actually, I think sales win loss analysis could probably help with that, because you can start identifying those types of things where they may have resonated to go back.
Grant, that reminds me of a positioning exercise where on each release, you do 2 positioning documents. What is the product's positioning and what is the release's positioning? Because to Jason's point, if I've never had your product before, I need to know that Zoom is a video tool. I don't need to know what came out in 1.9.6.1423, which was, the ability to do, some arcane thing, right?
Yep.
So you need both positioning. And so one positioning is for the new buyer who's never bought from us before. The other one is reasons that you should upgrade.
No, totally.
And yet our sales team loves the new stuff. And so they're like, hey, do you know we have many colored backgrounds now? And you're like, do you guys do video? Yeah. Oh yeah. Zoom is a video thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and Paul, I totally agree. Paul just put in the chat, marketing is about letting people know the values of your product. Old features hopefully still provide value. And I think, Steve, it goes a nice, where you're talking about with new customers and existing customers and how you need to understand for both. With that said, we're going to head to the poll. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but I was 3 hours late on the poll, purely because I was in Vancouver, Canada with a client. And when I scheduled it to go out 9 a.m., my clock was saying it was 9 a.m. Pacific. So it did go out a little late. And I will say, when I voted, I was on my iPad and it voted without me paying attention. I was trying to swipe and it took my finger swipe as a vote. That being said, personas may have been there, but I probably would have voted for market segmentation. The question we asked is, where can product management get the most value from collaborating with marketing? The options we gave were market segmentation, buyer personas, positioning, win-loss interviews, and other it depends. Buyer personas and positioning each got 31%, although if I moved my vote, because I can't figure out how to do that yet, maybe positioning would have come in first. Jason, I'm going to go to you first. You came with positioning as your answer, is actually why it was the first one. It was one of the ones I put in there, is because I went through the stuff and the answers for Monday. What did you vote for?
Buyer personas.
Buyer?
Because I'm reading the question, right?
Okay.
Where can product management get, now marketing can get the most value from product management for true positioning, I feel, but from how can marketing help me as a product manager with all of these? I mean, they're all pretty great. So I just picked buyer personas to keep me up to date on who's now buying my product and who's looking at that. That helps me at least align myself where I should be helping, investigating myself as well. Make sure we're aligned. But
okay.
As far as feeding marketing, I would say position.
Okay. So maybe I do keep my buyer persona vote.
It wasn't an accident. It was serendipity.
Yeah, it was. All right. Steve, did you vote?
I did. And I voted for market segmentation. As a product person, I already know the buyer persona and I already know the positioning. I can provide that information to marketing. I've never been that good at market segmentation. I'm really good at buyer persona. And marketing will come back and say, in order for us to do a campaign, we need to find the right demographic mix or something, so they have helped me refine the market segmentation beyond maybe the most simplistic thing of, I'm looking for people with this title.
No, and for me, it's been, they understand, part of it is they understand the mediums and channels and how they can reach people, and they should know where the people you're reaching are. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I vote for the first one because it was the first answer in my head when I do it. It's a tough question. And I know some people put into the comments all of the above, which me, I don't like that. But now I'm wavering between market segmentation and buyer personas. May, have you voted? Did you vote?
I did. I voted for other. I don't like voting for other, but I voted for other. And that's because I don't really think marketing, specifically marketing communications, is in a position to help product on most of these things, because these are mostly product marketing functions.
Product marketing, product management should be
exactly. So I feel like where Marcom can help us the most, I think the most value we can get is from branding. And when I say branding, I mean the company's brand, so aka the whole product.
Yep.
And it'll help us to steer the product strategy, just because what it is, where you'll have a better idea of where we want to go. And also just setting brand guidelines will help everyone, not just product but beyond, to speak the same language with similar visuals, right? So it's really important to help tell that story, and that's where Marcom is focused. So I think branding is the most important thing.
Yes, I get that. Now, Cory, you voted for positioning. So I'm looking for you to make the case for why I should change my vote to positioning.
So I'm going to say that marketing as a thing either doesn't interest me or confuses the hell out of me. There's very few people who can make it understandable to me or make it something that I'm interested in. And one of those people is April Dunford. And she talks about positioning, obviously awesome, is an amazing book. You should read it if you haven't already, or go read it again if it's been a while.
Do you know who taught her product management courses when she learned product management?
Tell me, please. Steve
Johnson. And that was a long, and even April said it's a long time ago.
So yeah, for me, the way she talks about positioning and the positioning, for me, I distill it down to who is this for and why do they care? The statement that she has in her book that I absolutely love was, positioning is the act of deliberately defining how you are the best at something that a defined market cares a lot about. So if I think of it in that context, that's what I want to collaborate with marketing on, because then marketing can go do the things that they're really good at, which is, these are the people that we want to solve their problems for, and this is where they're at. Go do that for them. Well,
and I think that goes to a lot of the collaboration we were talking about, right? We need to understand what they're doing, their requirements and what they're doing, and bringing them in on that type of stuff. You've made a strong case. Calvin, how did you vote? Oh, do you have one more thing, Cory?
Yeah. And so once you establish a position with marketing, the things that you're building and the reason you're building become a lot clearer.
Yeah, I agree with that. Calvin.
Which is why positioning belongs in the business case, not the marketing plan.
Yes. But they can be helpful in doing it. Calvin, I'm finally getting to you.
No worries. I said buyer persona because I thought that was probably the hardest thing that doesn't get done. I mean, it's something that's, I mean, you're building, but you ask a product manager a lot of times, who they're building it for, what their profile looks like. A lot of times they don't know. So I thought that was the hardest. That was one of the harder things.
I think sometimes there's so much focus on user personas that buyer personas may not get as much attention.
Yeah, that too.
No, I think that I get it. Paul, how did you vote?
All right. Well, Calvin almost just is like made me be on the fence with what he just said about buyer personas. But I actually really liked what Steve said before about market segmentation. And getting the help on that. So it's really going to be one of those two. I didn't end up voting this week, but if I had to vote, it would be one of those.
Okay. I like that. Calvin, is that you putting a hand, and you're on mute?
Yeah, I wanted to add something because I commented on, I mean, I voted and then I looked back and I commented on something May had said, and we've touched upon it earlier, but I think the challenge is really that there's so much overlap in some of these positions, and it varies company by company, that marketing and product marketing aren't always distinct, such that it may fall in, like, each of those, and I agree with May on this, that each of those that you have on the screen, I look more at as product marketing rather than marketing.
Well, but where can product management get the most value? These are things we are doing. Where can we get the most value from marketing to help us do these things, whether it's product management with no product marketing or product marketing?
Now, see, I interpreted the question to equate marketing to Marcom.
I did too.
Right. And so when I think about who owns the buyer persona, I would unquestionably say the product marketing person, but because I'm thinking of a product marketing person as being somebody who actually knows the product and who it's for, right? And yet when I work with a marketing communications group or an agency, they're wanting to know where do I promote this thing? How do I reach the people that you want to be interested? And that's why I chose the market segmentation answer.
No, that was my natural answer. And I want to get to our final people. Shabnam, had you voted on this?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question because the question's around collaboration, right? So not around whose responsibility is what.
Yeah.
I think I would have voted positioning, because that feels like a perfect segue where the two individuals or the two teams can work together.
Yes.
The product manager is responsible for doing the value proposition, but as a product manager, you don't really know. You're putting your best guess with some of your assumptions, and that's a fantastic place to then connect and collaborate with the product marketer and test and validate and tweak and adjust that. And that might be the right point to get in that will add the biggest value. So it's not way up front where you're still figuring things out, but it should be before you start building and deciding, like what to do and when to release.
No, boy, Shabnam, you're coming on strong for your first call. You may be chasing May for the bonus points for the call for the participant of the week. That's great.
The prizes. What are the prizes?
Just me saying you win. That is
the whole voting.
And there doesn't need to be more, really.
Yeah, no, that's good enough. It's made my day or my evening. It's evening here, so.
Right. Yeah, Steve, nowadays it seems the voting thing just seems to be, can you get Grant to change his vote?
No, it's pearls of wisdom, provocative thoughts that I like, and I need to add there's so much stuff going in the chat as we're doing this that I'm missing that could probably be getting bonus points. So I'm just going to give bonus points to everybody because we're collaborating. We're just like marketing and product management should collaborate. We're collaborating together to do this. Faith, before we move on, I wanted to give you a chance to quickly, did you vote? If so, which one, or which one would you?
I did vote. I voted for other, primarily, as many of you have said, I thought most of the things in the list were things that either product management should be doing or should just be kind of part of the backdrop that there has to be sort of consensus and agreement on a lot of those things and different people are contributing. I didn't think I could single one of those out.
So basically
where I see marketing do something unique that I can't do and don't want to do, well, could do, but they do better, is actually knowing what kinds of collateral different people in the organization need and want, producing it, making it beautiful, like May said, being sure that we're reinforcing and correctly applying all of our expressing our brands, and they know how to make, they know the SEO effects of what they're doing. They know it's a whole area of stuff that's its own specialty that they're good at. And I think assuming that we have a backdrop of communication where we have some consensus and agreement and mutual understanding about what we're trying to accomplish with the product, and we're sharing that information. For me, maybe this is it might be a really reductionist approach or maybe overly simplistic, but really I'm like, you know what? Do that thing you guys do. You do it well. Just do that thing.
And we'll do what we do well, and we'll succeed together. So I get that. Actually, I'm going to give that the Brian Weber Award for changing what the poll question should be, which he's done on past calls. But I wanted to move on before, the conversation has been going great. I had teased this, and gosh knows we don't have time to probably get so deep on this one because this thing could be a series of calls itself. But where do you start drawing the lines between the roles and responsibilities of product management and marketing? Right? Let's talk, and let's put, and I'm okay with putting product marketing in there. Where are the lines? May, this was inspired by your Monday answer. Where do you put the lines?
So for me, if we focus on marketing as Marcom, right, and product management, let's define the roles, right? Because generally speaking, most people in a relatively well-organized organization, you'll have product management, product marketing, right? Okay. So I think the place I always go back to is the chart that Steve initially showed me, where everything finally made sense. The problem spaces between market focus, customer focus, problem focus, solution focus.
Yep.
And then the next later or whatever
strategy, planning, and
exactly. The thing that's in now, the things that are out or are imminently out, right? That's sort of generally where product marketing sits. So product marketing really focuses on the problem space of what's coming out or what is out. And then where Marcom or what's it would be just kind of like solutioning and executing around that. And I think
so you're going straight with our definition.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, again, this is something that you know, we see a lot of people dealing with the same thing, and I think I agree the way Steve laid that out. The first time I saw that, it really resonated with me as well. Steve, will you be able to post that slide in the community?
I can post that in the community.
Yeah.
I just, that could be a good way to do it. Jason, I know you've moved between roles, right? Marketing, product management. I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
You know, yeah, I think where we draw the lines is that you know, we definitely help with the positioning. So there's kind of the Venn, but you know, marketing for us as a campaign managers, and they do the go-to-marketing campaigns, and they put everything together about where and when and what utilities to do that. Whereas we're in the background, kind of helping them get that message across.
Yeah,
helping what the message is, but they distribute it. That's kind of the line there.
Any other thoughts? We're already, you know, we're pushing time, so I'm going to give time for us to do the lightning round. I'm going to I'm not going to try to purposely hit everybody on this one. Anybody with something they want to put in here that when it comes to drawing the lines, I may look to you, Steve.
Well, I think that our conversation has done a fairly good job of, well, you know, I'm sorry. Let me do it another way. Almost every word we use is ambivalent. When we use the term marketing, I think strategy, and everyone else I know thinks campaigns.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I see product marketing bringing the strategic view of how we're going to take a product to market, and then leveraging marketing communications as the execution arm.
Yeah.
And so that's my take, is that product management and product marketing are planning roles, and development and marketing are execution roles. Yeah, and as May reminded us, I think of both development and marketing as living in the solution space, where product management and product marketing lives in the problem space.
I think that's great, and we'll see that when we do that. Calvin?
Yeah, we defined it at a previous company. We defined it a little bit different, and we were large enough to have both product marketing and marketing. And product marketing's responsibility was to communicate or to take care of activities that were in support of product management and in support of product, where marketing role was similar, only their focus was on the customer.
Yeah.
Like end customer. So to give a quick example, if there's a communications piece, if it's to deeper explanation about the product marketing, promotional piece for the customer, marketing.
Okay.
Another way of saying that maybe is what I think what you just described was the difference between corporate marketing and product marketing. That the campaign you would run to a customer would be more about the brand and not a specific product. And I hear that distinction. I don't like it. I prefer the distinction of product marketing doing the planning of how do we get our message about the product to people. And that marketing is the execution arm. But I hear what you said, that product marketing is campaigns about products, and the other marketing is campaigns about the company or the brand.
No, I can see that. And just because of the time we have, we're going to go to the lightning round so we can actually get through a lightning round. And the question for the lightning round is, what can the impact of strong collaboration between product management and marketing enable? And so, Shabnam, you're new to this. We want these to be one-word, short phrase answers. And when our team is on, because we're all collaborating on this together, they tend to build on each other. We like to lean into the improv concept of yes and. And so for the fact that you're new, I'm going to let a couple people go first, but then I'll come to you about midway through. Sound like a plan? All right. Calvin Marshall. What can the impact of strong collaboration between product management and marketing enable?
A smooth product launch.
Smooth product launch. Awesome. Paul Hurwitz.
I'm going to take a pass. Maybe come back to me if you wouldn't mind.
I've been listening to a lot of these past ones. Paul takes a pass half the time. Actually, normally he punts to Calvin, then Calvin punts back to Paul. But
the first thought that came to my mind was success.
Success. Hey, that's one word. It's short, and it's something we want to enable. We're going to go with that, Paul.
Paul understood the assignment.
Cory.
Alignment.
Alignment. Faith.
Sales pipeline growth.
Sales pipeline. Not sales pipeline growth or sales growth?
Well, in theory, one leads to the other.
Well, you hope, right? You could build a pipeline with the wrong segmentation and messaging,
right.
that, and you can't sell the product.
Right.
So can I drop pipeline? Did you say sales growth?
Right. But that's no, I'm thinking specifically pipeline, because marketing's going to attract people into the top end of that funnel. What sales does with it is that's a conversation for a different day.
It is, and we don't have the time because this is lightning round, not thunder round.
And you made me say 30 words.
I did. My fault there. You had 3 words, and I asked a clarifying question, which I should not do in the lightning round. Shabnam.
I was thinking user growth.
User growth. I like that, especially in places where sales is one side, but usage is ongoing them. I like that. User growth. May.
Great marketing.
Great marketing.
Enabling marketing to do their jobs.
I love it. Jason.
I'm going to go with faith and say leads.
Leads. My friend Steve Johnson.
I'll go with systematic growth.
You know what I'm going to say, Steve?
Drucker.
No,
actually, I was going to
say
Steve.
Yes, he was going to say the Drucker.
I was not going to say Drucker. I was going to say systematic growth was pretty close to my answer. Often Steve takes my answer. And what I'm going to do is the right lead growth with the right tools to enable sales to move them through the pipeline to enable overall success of the company.
Sounds like a thunder answer.
That was a thunder. In May, I agree. I was going to call him, but wow, this is
so better. Peter Drucker might have added to understand the customer so well that the product fits him and sells itself.
Yes, he would. He did say that. That is the aim of marketing, and so from one Drucker fellow to another, Steve. I appreciate you bringing that out, and. What a great conversation today. Shabnam, you came on and you killed it. We hope you come back and join us some more on some of these. Faith, great to have you back. And our ongoing regulars, Paul Hurwitz, Calvin Marshall, Cory Bryan, Jason Vincelette, and May, and of course my partner Steve Johnson. I did learn on this call. I know I say it every week, but that's why we do this call. That's why it's powerful for me. And I changed my opinions, and I love what we do every week, and we do it every week in the community, right? On Monday, the question goes in, and Jason's back to answering it. I'm so excited to have Jason being the first answer again. Wednesdays, we have the poll, and on Fridays, we have these wonderful conversations. So thank you, each and every one of you, for this great collaborative conversation, and we'll see you next week in the community. Take care, everybody.